I'm Troy Jenkins, agronomist with North Central Co-op. Today we're going to be looking at herbicide weed resistance. We'll look at how modes of action, which is how herbicides kill weeds. We'll also look at weed resistance, which is the what, hows and whys do weeds become resistant in the field, and cross resistance and its relationship to herbicides and the economic loss posed by the problem of the weeds. To get started, let's talk a little bit about modes of action and how herbicides work. Herbicides fall into one of 10 categories in the way that it will work on a plant. It works on an area called the mode of action or the site of action. The Weed Society of America has recalibrated a new chart where they now assign a number to each herbicide in a mode of action. This is very important as we go on with our discussion today because we want to use multiple modes of action, and the numbering system allows us to be able to focus in on what products we want to use in that multi-mode system. Weed resistance occurs when we have a species of weeds and we have some of the plants in that species that are genetically different than the rest. The herbicide, when it works on the plant, will work on that specific site of that weed and kill that weed. Herbicides that are resistant have a different genetic makeup in that spot. Many times, that area in the plant that the herbicide works will be different in two different areas, which can give us cross resistance. This poses a major problem because we can't kill the weed with the existing herbicides and we have to look for alternative chemistries to try to kill the weed. Another problem we sometimes face in the field is we have plants that are either male or female. And because those weeds might carry the resistance to a specific herbicide, when they cross with each other in the field, we can get multi-resistance, which means that the weed might be resistant to not just one mode of action, but it could be resistant to 2 or 3 different modes of action. Let's take a look now or talk a little bit about how this weed resistance can be a problem in the field and the things it poses as a problem. One of the things that happens is that we can't kill these weeds, and many times we have to use an alternative mode of action to try to kill the weed after it's come up in the field. Sometimes these weeds get too big for that alternative mode of action, and we can't kill that weed with that mode of action that we're using. We also have a problem many times with weeds when we're using a new mode of action. We use a mode of action on that weed too many times, and that new mode of action also becomes resistant. And so we have a new mode of action that no longer kills the weed. We used to use primary tillage as a method to take out some of these problem weeds. We've kind of discontinued the use of some of these tillage systems, and we need to take a look at going back to that. One of the biggest causes of weed resistance on the farm, of course, is the overuse of a mode of action. When we use one mode of action over and over within a season, the weeds become very resistant to that mode. That's why the use of different modes, multiple modes of action, using 2 to 3 different modes in a growing season is critically important to help reduce the problem. Some of the things that we see in the field that lead us to know that we have a problem with resistant weeds is one particular weed that becomes more populated in the field than another weed. We see these huge populations in the field. We also see populations that get to be so thick and so heavy that the crop suffers from water, a sun, and a nutrient uptake. Probably one of the major things is when we get to the point in the field where we have to employ hand weeding in order to take these problem weeds out of the field. This is a very serious problem when we get to that point. So, in summary, I think it's pretty straightforward that we use multiple modes of action. That meaning that we use 2 to 3 different modes of action along with the mode that we have that might be resistant. That's critically important. That we use tillage and we incorporate tillage into our system to try to eliminate some of these problem weeds. That we make sure that we manage these weeds in their height and their growth so we're killing them before they have a chance to get so big that the other modes of action we want to use can take them out.